Well, this is a very recent project that started September 1st. The idea that we are pursuing is as follows. Um, we are collaborating, three individuals are collaborating, particularly myself, Dr. Nabundu Pal, who's a statistician from the mathematics department here, and Dr. Natalia Sidorovskaya, who's an experimental physicist in the physics department. And Natalia is a member of something called LADC, the Littoral Acoustic Demonstration Center. This center has collected baseline data on marine mammals in the years 2001, 2002, and 2007. And our idea is to make another experiment right after the spill and try to develop statistical and mathematical tools in order to estimate abundance before the spill, abundance of the marine mammals after the spill, and see whether they have been impacted and to what extent.
Do you know anything about the specific marine mammals that you would be that you're looking at?
I am not the ecologist on that. No, my expertise is to develop the theoretical and computational tools.
Okay, so how do you go about doing that?
When you record these data, what happens is you can actually record number of clicks. All right, so I'll give you a simple example of how to estimate abundance. These machines or these devices, they're called environmental acoustic recording systems, or better known as ears. They go down at the bottom of the ocean. They record acoustic sounds, click trains of particular species. LADC has ways of differentiating sperm whale from beak whale sound from dolphin sound. You take these number of clicks, and if you know how many clicks an animal can do per second, then you can calculate the number of animals in a group. That's a simple way of understanding the number of animals that you've heard. But there are more complicated ways that include developing some dynamical systems approaches to use current data and predict forward in time. So I'll give you an example of a project that I've led since 2004, so I've been deeply involved in since for the past 6 years. This project involves understanding the dynamics of an urban green tree frog population. This project also has scientists from different disciplines, to name a few. Dr. Jacoby Carter from the USGS National Wetlands Research Center, Dr. Nabundu Pal, a biostatistician from our department, and Dr. Keng Deng, who's a mathematician from our department. For 6 years now, we have sent groups of collaborators and students to 4 ponds around the Wetland Center and a center called LIGHT, Louisiana Immersive Technology Enterprise, to go and catch green tree frogs. They catch these green tree frogs either by hand or by pipes. Every new frog caught, they will cut it underneath the skin and insert what is known as an alphanumeric tag, or an alpha tag. This tag has like letters and digits on it, so it identifies the frogs individually. We then developed an extension of something called the hypergeometric distribution method in statistics to estimate the number of green tree frogs in the ponds for the past 6 years. We have estimates from year 2004 until 2005, and currently working on the estimates for 2010. Having finished with the estimation, we developed a prediction model using a partial differential equation system. This is a dynamical system that, given knowledge of today's population, you can predict what happens in the future depending on environmental factors. So we actually fitted the model for the 6 years data I just mentioned to you, and the fit looked extremely promising. We then used the model to project what happens in the next 30 years. And our results indicate modulo severe disturbance of the environment, a catastrophe, a big hurricane or something like that. We expect that the population to persist and survive for the next 30 years. So this is what I do. Well, first, let me say that the green tree frogs have actually resulted in Ph.D. dissertation of 3 students, one of which is to graduate, actually 2 of which will to graduate in this May, and another one will graduate in the May of next year. When I was discussing some of the population estimates, Natalia, who I've known for many years, approached me and said, we have been working on this acoustic data, collecting acoustic data since 2001, and we're looking for somebody who can develop for us methodology, new methodology, which to the best of my knowledge does not exist yet, in order to infer information about the abundance of marines from this data. Well, so we started to talk, and this actually we got Nebendu, the statistician involved, led to some discussion about how we can use the acoustic data in order to derive some estimates, and this is what led to the rapid NSF project that we have started on September 1st. Well, the disaster has to tell you how individuals are affected, how their death rate is increased. Obviously, disaster we would expect would increase the death rate of these animals. Then you'll incorporate that increase in the model and see the new projection based on the disaster. So given that you have a natural death rate and then you have an increased death rate based on the disaster, you run simulation without the disaster, another simulation with the disaster. Again, you use a bunch of scenarios. I'm simplifying everything here just to make public understand. So you run it with the disaster, you run it without the disaster, and you can project how the disaster impacted the dynamics of this population. All right, short-term projection would be a short-term effect. Long-term projection will be long-term effects.
And then as you get into the long-term effect, you're able to project that, but you're going to be more likely to have errors, so those numbers are going to be more likely to be wrong?
Of course, the longer the projection, I would say the worse approximation the model can make. On the other hand, in order to make long-term projection, you also have to incorporate another model which describes the cleanup efforts of the BP spill. So right now we have some oil, but maybe 2-3 years down the road, the cleanup has removed most of the oil. I don't know how the cleanup efforts go, but we are actually working on modeling or a separate model for telling us the decay rate of the oil in the vicinity of the incident. For the mathematical models, the parameters that we will need, as I said, the speed of cleanup, what is the degradation rate or what's the removal rate of the oil in the vicinity of the spill, in the area we are actually detecting the marine mammals. So that's one parameter that we will need. Having had that parameter, we'll also need some parameters which are already available in the literature, and I checked them. The birth rates, for example, with a focus on sperm whale, the birth rate of individual sperm whale, the death rate of an individual sperm whale, longevity of an individual sperm whale. All these parameters are currently well documented in the literature. The parameter we are looking for is the speed of the cleanup of the oil, of the toxicant. 2001, 2002, 2007 experiments happened in 3 locations, all right? From 9 miles away from the incident to 25 miles away from the incident. In order to compare on a fair basis, we had to perform the new experiment exactly in the 3 locations that the previous experiments were performed, because those provide baseline data. But it actually works in our favor as well, because some are closer to the incident and some are further away from the incident. So it actually tells us if there is an impact, it may tell us that closer locations have been more impacted than further away location from the incident. Okay. So we are performing an experiment where we drop recording systems at the bottom of the ocean in 3 locations that vary in distance from the incidence of the BP from 9 miles to 25 miles. And we record sounds of marine mammals, whales, dolphins, etc. These sounds basically can be used in order to understand the abundance, how many animals have we heard down in these 3 locations. Because we already performed an experiment in 2001 or 2002 and 2007, and we meaning LADC, where my co-PI Natalia is a member of. LADC is the Littoral Acoustic Demonstration Center that is a consortium of 4 universities. The old data, okay, if the same analysis is performed on, you can tell how many animals were in these locations in 01, 02, and 07. And having collected new data, you can also tell what happens in 2010, and you can compare the result of 2010 to previous years to assess or understand whether the BP oil spill have affected these marine mammals.
Okay.
The main question that I've heard a lot and interests me is how is the ecological system there have been affected by this toxicant. This is an enormous oil spill. A lot of toxicants have been deployed. There's a humongous ecological system in the Gulf. How is this system affected? Okay? So this is the main question that interests me. And particular focus right now with our projects is on the system of marine mammals. Absolutely. We are working, again, I start with the group that is working on this particular project. I'm working with an experimental physicist named Dr. Natalia Sidorovskaya. She's from the physics department at the University of Louisiana at Lafayette. I'm also working with Dr. Nebendu Pal, a statistician in the mathematics department here. We're also working with LATC, the Littoral Acoustic Demonstration Center. It's a consortium of 4 universities, UL, USM, or University of Southern Mississippi, and University of New Orleans, and University of Texas, Austin. So there's a lot of researchers that are involved in this. Furthermore, recently we've been contacted by NOAA. NOAA is actually performing similar acoustic experiments. So we started now discussion, and we hope that whatever data and analysis we conduct and whatever data and analysis they conduct can be shared, and hence instead of one data set we will have several data sets providing corroborating evidence whether there has been an effect to this species or not. I think the key nature about our rapid NSF project, and for that we thank NSF for supporting it, is the interdisciplinary nature. So it really shows how different sciences, from ecology to physics to mathematics to statistics, can come together in order to provide an assessment of disasters. So disasters are unfortunate, but sometimes they create opportunities for new science. I think the key feature of our Rapid National Science Foundation project, and we thank the National Science Foundation for funding it, is the interdisciplinary nature of it. It actually shows how different fields and different sciences can come together and provide a better assessment for the impact of disasters. For example, in our project, it shows how physics, ecology, mathematics, statistics can all be combined to provide an assessment of the BP disaster on the marine mammals. Disasters are unfortunate, and such a big disaster is particularly unfortunate. However, sometimes disasters create opportunities for the development of new science, and for that we are fortunate.